Hey everybody, I'm Greg.
And I'm Katie. Welcome to the 6th episode of our 2022 and beyond, playing through our entire collection. This is the fifth and final episode of the A's.
We've made it through the A's, finally.
Didn't think it was ever going to happen.
Nope. But before we get started, go ahead and like our video if you like it. Subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see more content about this, our game playthroughs, or anything that we put up on our channel, go ahead and hit the bell and you'll be notified about it.
And as always, follow us on all of our social medias, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I think that's pretty much it. Okay.
So far.
So shall we get started?
We'll get started. We are going to get started with the last episode. We mentioned we had 4 big games that was going to take us a while to play.
And hence why this one's taken so long to get out.
So we're going to start off with those 4.
Knock them out.
The first one is Axis and Allies, 1941. So this one, this is the Hasbro, the Wizards of the Coast Hasbro edition of it.
Yes.
And it's definitely a big box store version of this game.
Okay. So this was actually the last of the series we played. And had we started with this one, I might have different opinions.
Yes.
But we ended with this one.
Now, to be fair, you were going into this series never playing Axis and Allies. No, you had played it once. I had played
it once years ago because Justin really wanted to play it, so we played it with him. Justin being our oldest son.
Yes, Justin loves this game,
and he does.
But this version, it's
okay. It's cheap.
Very cheap.
Simple as that. There is no way to sugarcoat.
There's no money.
It is cheap.
No IPCs as they call it.
What is that? Industrial production certificates. It's the money in the game.
The money of the game. The components are very, very cheap.
The components are cheap. I mean, they're plastic, but
they're hollow
cheap.
Plastic.
The board is a lot smaller, which I mean, you can't see a whole lot here, but I bought this one specifically for the game night fundraisers to have at least one.
Yes.
And I should have known it was only $25. It was not very expensive, but at that point, I didn't know that was cheap. Well, you get what you pay for.
Still early in the collection.
This one, we've decided after playing some of the Avalon Hill ones, this one is going to hit the sale pile.
Yes.
I think the Avalon Hill ones are just much better quality than this is. Even though this one, and in all fairness, this one was designed. What was it? This one was designed to be a beginner entry level to the current Axis and Allies series.
Yep.
And if
you've ever played Axis and Allies, I've noticed in your notes.
Oh, sorry.
You always had the artillery pieces out there. No artillery in this.
Nope.
The AA guns, no AA guns, and no industrial well, there were industrial complexes, but they're printed on the board.
Yeah, they're printed on the board. They don't stand up. So I didn't like that, but
cheaper
it's a smaller board.
No player boards. No
one.
Player boards. And all these in that we're going to show you here in a minute, all had player boards where you can keep your stuff, and when you're going to buy your next stuff, you put it out there so you know exactly what you're paying for, and you kept track of everything on your player board.
Now that being said,
this had nothing.
I don't like paper money to begin with.
No,
and that is probably one of my biggest complaints on these other ones is the paper money. So this took away the paper money, but it also took away. You have to use pen and paper to keep track of everything now, which I mean, whatever. But it's just an ultra stripped down version of Axis and Allies, and
not gonna stay in the collection.
Not gonna stay in the collection.
Yeah. The next one is Axis and Allies Pacific. This one is from 2000. This is basically the Pacific Theater.
We played this one 2-player. So I was Japan, and you played everybody else.
I played everybody else. Now, this one was called because the United States had Marines. They were a special group that you could buy. Yes. The Marines. So China only didn't make any IPCs. The only thing they got was 3 new.
They got new workers. So that was the
new workers, new infantry. New infantry came out at the end of each round.
This one also introduced the combat air patrol phase.
Yes, so that was kind of cool too, because you would put your planes up, you'd go out, and you could hover a plane over one area. That way, no ships could come through undetected.
Yeah.
And then on your first
next turn, you had
to land them, so they had to be able to land.
Yeah. So it was pretty interesting. I like that. Another big thing, the big difference on this one, whereas typically you go until one person takes over the other, until the Axis takes over the Allies' capital, or vice versa. This one was a little different. Japan did not actually have to take over an ally. Japan had to survive, or had to
they got victory points. Yes, and you got victory points.
Japan started with like 19 IPCs, the money. And for every 10 that you had at the end of your turn, you gained a victory point. So, and I think Japan won when you got to 22. I didn't write that down. I want to say it was 22 victory points is where Japan's winning point was. And then the Allies won if either they took over Japan or they took over enough of Japan's territory that they didn't get any victory points that turn. Then Japan would win, or the Allies would win. So that was just a little bit different. It wasn't so much go out and immediately head for one thing.
Yeah. This also had, the Japanese had kamikazes.
Oh, that was the next thing.
And there was a certain amount. There was, how many kamikazes did you get?
6.
6 kamikazes.
Yep,
so
6 kamikazes.
There were certain zones marked on the board, basically all the way around the island of Japan.
Yeah.
If a ship or something went into their zone, then at that point, Japan could attack with their kamikazes. Yeah. You had 6 of them. You could say, there's 2 ships in there. I'm bringing in 2 kamikazes to hit you.
Yep.
She could bring all 6 if she wanted to.
Could.
But once they're gone, they're gone. You didn't need to have a plane in this area or nothing. It was just kamikazes, they're coming in. And that was kind of cool.
That was a little different. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed that. But there's, I don't know if you showed them.
No, I didn't.
So there's the board, sort of. And this was a big board.
Yes. It was.
I mean, it was, this one's folded over 4 times. So kind of shows you a little bit how big it is. Anyway,
so this next one, we played that just me and you.
Yes.
This one we played with our son Justin. He was Germany. I was England and Britain, and Katie was Russia.
And he won.
I basically kept the German Navy, I guess, at bay, because that's all I did the whole game, was build up my Navy for the United States and for Britain, and just keep attacking the German subs, and he'd come back and attack. And this is a round one too, wasn't it? We only had a certain amount of rounds to win it. Or no. It was like
this
the other
was when somebody.
Don't you have notes?
No, this is the only one I forgot to take notes on because we were busy.
This one he had to gain control of one of our victory cities,
or we had to take control of Berlin, of both of his, because he had 2.
No, I think we only had to get one. Anyway,
regardless.
But Justin still won.
Oh yeah. It was fun.
I have not played a game
enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've not played a game of Access with him, and I won. Again, he did not win.
Big board. And this is basically, I'm just going to show you the size of this board. The board on the one that we get rid of is half this size. I mean, it's huge. So, okay. But yeah. Oop. Hit myself in the face with this. Okay. But player boards, again, big. This gives you all of the details, purchase prices, everything. I'm going back to the stripped down model that I just didn't care for. So, but anyway, Europe.
That's your one box.
That's my one box. Okay.
All right. And last, so those last 2 are going to go to Justin if he wants them. He gets first pick at them. If they don't, they will probably go to the sale pile as well.
And reason being, this is not something that we will ever pull out to play on our own. It's just not the type of game I enjoy.
If I had the right person, I would pull them out, but she's not the right person. Because I've started to think about, hey, get into war games, but she's not going to do that.
Nope.
So these would just sit and get dust. At Justin's, at least they might get played.
Yes, and you can always go over there and play with him.
Yeah. So, and they're not taking up room here.
Nope. So the last one.
This one we are keeping.
This is the one that will go into the other collection to be that one war game.
This is so much different from those.
Yes.
This one gave each player had their own board, their own player board. And on that player board, you had your whole.
It's different. Leave me alone. Here, see? each player had a player board.
Go on.
That showed everything that you can recruit over the span of the game.
Yes.
There is no IPCs in this one.
Now this doesn't.
So
to look at this, it's not like, oh, I could recruit this whole thing.
No. It's
each round you can only recruit a certain amount of recruits per dice roll.
Yes. It's all based on
and
the dice
on
rolls.
like this is the Germany one. This would tell him. This is the one Justin played, of course.
Of course.
It told him where, if he took these, you had to start at the top and go right to left and work your way down. And it would tell you where those recruits would be. And each board, it would tell you where you could play, except for Britain, they could place theirs anywhere along the beach. On their beaches.
On their beaches, yeah.
The United States had the different beaches.
Yep. But this one plays in a total of 10 rounds. 10 rounds, you're done. So that made it quick and easy. I want to say it's only took us about an hour, about 2 hours.
Now the difference in this game is, like I said, there's no money, but there's depending on what you use, there are different types of cards. There's tactic cards. There's tactic cards, there's fortune cards, and there's order cards. We played with it all. The fortune cards, once they're played, they get removed from the game.
Yeah.
And then the order cards help out with what the fortune card will help out the order card depending on what side it's coming from. But so you go through the deck once, that's the first round. It's a 10-round game.
And the first round took a little while because it took us a minute to figure out exactly what was supposed to be happening.
Well, you had an extra card too.
Right. And then throughout the game, things come out.
Yes.
So the rounds got faster and faster as we went. And I actually really enjoyed this one. We were afraid.
This made a little bit less of a war game. So that's why you probably liked it.
That's probably why.
Because everything was kind of it's a little bit pre-planned, but how you move your people up once they get up onto because it's basically you're fighting to take over the beach.
Yeah.
The Britain and England or United States is trying to get onto the beaches and get up and take over Germany.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. If Germany could withstand the 10 rounds, they won. But if we were able to get in there and get their victory cities, which I got one of them.
I could not get the other one.
I totally ransacked that side. I mean, and then, of course, Justin's Germans came back and took me back away.
Yeah. This one was a lot of fun. Yeah. I have to admit. And that's one reason we're keeping this one is because it's that entry level into Axis and Allies.
It has something different.
Right. It is still that entry level into Axis and Allies without being cheap.
Right.
So, and that I liked that. I was very pleased with this. I wasn't sure about it when we first started, but by the time we were done, I liked it. So, but that is D-Day. That is all of our Axis and Allies, and hence why this video took almost a month to make.
Yes, because most of those were an hour it was an hour up to
2 hours, 4.5 hours.
Yes.
We stopped at 2 hours and another hour.
Yep.
So yeah, it was a long.
Okay, so the next one is another collection. It is a series of 4 games.
These are much more popular.
This is the Azul collection.
Yep.
First, we're going to start with Azul. We have the Crystal Mosaic expansion with it. And I will say right off the bat and get it out of the way, this is not my favorite Azul. I do not like this one at all.
I don't have a problem with this one. I like it. I don't necessarily like the overlays they created in this one. This one is the concept is you are
tiling a bathroom wall.
Yep. For the palace.
I think it's just a palace wall. It's not a bathroom
palace wall, whatever. But you are collecting stones or tiles from out of the middle of the table. And this is going to go with every one of these. This is basically how it runs with one exception. In all of these, the number of spots out on the table are dependent on how many players you have. With 2 players, which is typically how we play it, it's you have 5 options. Each one of those spots has 4 tiles on it. You take all of one color off the tile, push everything else to the middle, and they become open. Those are now open for other people to grab if they wish to. as you're doing that, you're putting all the color, all the pieces of one color, you're putting onto one of your starting lines here. And they go down from 1 to all the way down to 5. If for some reason you can't place one of those, then you've broken that tile and you get negative points for it. It goes down at the bottom of your board. At the end of the round, when all of the tiles are gone out of the middle of the table, then whatever rows you have filled up on your board, you slide those over. You slide one over, the rest go back into a pot to go back in the bag at the end of the game, at the end of the, well, when you need more tiles. Mm-hmm. So the goal is to fill in as many of the tiles on the wall as you can, trying to do it logically so that you score more points. You score more points if you've already tiled, you have more tiles in a row or in a column. I think it's the first row that is filled up, the first horizontal row ends the game.
Yes, it is.
So I like this one. It is the original. It is definitely, for a lot of people, it's the favorite. Mm-hmm. The others never really improved upon it.
That's why we got it too, because she liked it.
I did. But that is the base game of Azul.
Michael Kiesling's doing something because he keeps selling them.
Yep. Okay. So the second one.
The second one is the second one out. It is stained glass of Sintra.
Sintra. This one you are making a stained glass window.
Yep.
Now this one, if you've never seen, I feel like Azul's been out there, that's why I didn't open this one up. But this one is a little different in the fact that this is your player board right here, and you can choose one of two sides. And then what you're tiling with, everybody has these pieces, and I've got a yellow board, but whatever. You change, so you have to fill in the first side, and then when you're done, you flip it over, and
then when you fill that side in, that piece comes off the board.
Yes, and then so by the end of the game, you've only got 4 or 5 of these left up here.
But as you finish a window, you're gonna, whichever one, say like you're finishing this window here, you're gonna put one piece from the window
down there,
down here, and then it scores this many points.
Yeah, everybody has player pieces in this one, and your tiler or your stained glass artisan moves along, but he can only move down the row, so he can only fill in where he's at.
Yep.
So
and he can't go backwards until he gets all the way to the end.
Or no, you can go back. That's right. If he's standing here, you can only work on this pane. You can't work on this pane over here. So if you've taken tiles, right, but not on the same turn. So you can only, so if I've got, so if I picked up 3 yellows right here, I can only use 2 of them. I break one of them because I can't move to the next one that requires a yellow.
Right.
It can only be laid in the one.
What I'm saying was, though, if you picked up like 4 oranges and you have one over here that could take 4 oranges, you can move your worker over there. Now you can work on that with those 4 oranges.
But you can't split those oranges between this one and this one.
Right.
So it adds a little more complexity, as each of these do. But the big thing is as your artisan moves down, you can't just automatically go back. He can only go one direction, and then you have to take a turn to physically move him back to the beginning
and do nothing except that's your turn is you moving back.
So you're not pulling tiles out of the middle of the table for that. So it gave a little more complexity. This one, the big grief that everybody had with this one,
they look like Hall's cough drops or Jolly Ranchers. It looks like candy.
Yeah, they do. They look like candy. But they look like Hall's cough drops. I do. I like the pieces. I cannot fault Azul for their quality.
No.
Their components are fantastic.
This one to me made sense.
This one was fun.
Other one,
So anyway, that is Azul stained glass.
So as he continues on, we now have Summer Pavilion. Now I ended up liking this one more than I like stained glass.
Yep. This is actually, I think, one of my favorites. This is my favorite. So this one, again, pieces are a little bit different. This one I found some plexiglass ones, and that's what we use to keep all of our pieces in place. Love these. So this one's a little different. You have a garden. So you're filling in each of these. I don't know if you can see it, but each of these have numbers on them, numbered 1 to 6. I'm probably not even circling a flower there, but numbered 1 to 6.
That's not a flower. Those are pavilions. That's why it's called Summer Pavilion.
Whatever. Anyway, so in order to, so with this one, you're still taking tiles out of the middle. You are gathering all those tiles until the very end of the round.
Yeah, because all the other ones you had to place them
immediately.
Immediately, yes. This one you hold them off until the end.
Gave you the ability to hold everything off to the end, and then you use like to place.
It also gave you a wild one each round.
Yes, there's a wild color each round. So, for instance, I wanted to place in this 5. I would have to use 5 tiles to do it. I put one down and throw the other 4 away.
So it's either 5 of the same color tile or 5 tiles that were the same color plus maybe a wild.
Whatever the wild, yeah, because there are wild colors and it actually tells you.
And the wild color changes every round. So if you're going to use that as a wild, you got to use it that round.
Yes.
Because the next round is just that color again.
This one also gives you the ability to save tiles.
Yes.
You can save up to 4 tiles till the next round, which is nice. But scoring is done as you lay tiles down. The first one in each pavilion gets 1 point. If you lay a second one next to it, then it's 2 points, 3 points, etc. And then at the end of the game, if you finish an entire pavilion, then you get extra points. Or the center. The center, though, you can only have one of each color.
Yes. And now each color scores a different points, amount of points. The purple one's the most, that's 20. Yeah. But you also, if you've filled in all of your ones everywhere, you get points.
That's another way to get points.
Same with the 2s,
the 3s,
and the 3s and the 4s.
Yeah.
The 5s and 6
don't score anything.
Well, the 5s and 6 are going to have this other icon out here. If you do the 5 and 6 on it, you go over here, and on that board it shows you get to draw 3 out of this little center thing.
Yes, this is a set of extra tiles. So all of these icons here, this was something new in this particular game. The little statues, the circles, I think they're fountains, and they look like locks to me. Are they windows? I don't know. They look like little padlocks to me. But depending on what you've completely surrounded, then you get to pull so many pieces off of this board and put them into your pavilion, which is a neat variant on this one.
Yeah,
that was what was different.
There could be wild ones for that round on there that you can pull out to be able to do some more stuff on your board.
My one complaint with this, and we fixed this with a house rule, is that
you forget.
You can't remember when you've circled one, suddenly you're like, oh, did I take that one? I don't remember if I took that one. So we just pulled out some clear garden stones or some clear crystals, and we use these to mark the ones that we've filled, that we've taken. So we know it makes it much easier. Suggestion. These tiles are, gosh, I don't want to get them out, but I'm going to.
They're shaped. You don't have to, because you can put some on here. They're shaped like the little.
Yeah, they're shaped like the pieces. See, and then they just fit. I know I'm not actually fitting it there, but so yeah.
At least you had the green.
Hey, I did. I had it in the right place. That's good. But yeah, this is one of my this is probably my favorite, and I'll be honest, this makes it.
This was my favorite one, but this next one is now my favorite one.
Because I can't win it. I have not been able to win. Well, we've played this 2 or 3 times now, and I can't. I haven't won one yet. Okay,
and that is the newest one out. This is the Queen's Garden.
This one. Ooh.
This one is a doozy.
This one takes pieces from the first one and the third one and combines them together and then makes it harder.
Puts symbols on it that actually mean things.
This one feels like, what did I compare this to the other day when we were playing it? I felt like almost like Quirkle.
No. Calico, you said.
Oh, it was Calico. It reminds me a little bit of Calico, where you have to match patterns and or colors. The difference with this one, you still have, instead of having all 5 out in a row, you have 4 stacks of, again, for 2 players, it's 5 people. It's 5. But you have different tiles that you're laying down. This is just going to be easier. I know, you hate it. I'm sorry. So you have 5 stacks of these. There's 4 rounds in the game. You have 4 stacks of these tiles. Now you're laying your 4 tiles on top of this. So you're laying out your 4 tiles on here. And each round, you're going to start with, you have 2 choices. You can take all of one pattern, or you can take all of one color. But you can't take duplicates. So say I had, let me see if I can't see one. So say this was another light green tree. I could only take one of these trees. I couldn't take them both. So all of one pattern, all of one color, but no duplicates. So as soon as I've taken one item off of here, This moves down. Well, this one right back in the bag. This moves down, and then you put 4 more tiles on the next stack, and it keeps doing that. And then as soon as one is completely blank, you flip it over, and this now becomes something else you can grab.
It has a tile already printed on it.
It has a pre-printed tile on it that you can put into your garden. Now, everybody has their base is, you have 2 boards with this one. You have, I don't remember what they call them now, but you have your planning board, and then you have your garden. And everybody starts with a center garden piece, but this one, like Summer Pavilion, this one has all those tile icons that when you surround them with tiles, again, you get bonus actions.
And each one of these has a fountain or a gazebo.
Yep. So the bonus that you get for these, just like in the other one where you got extra tiles, this bonus you get.
Jokers.
They're called jokers. Thank you. I could not remember what they're called. They're called jokers. You can use these to help pay for the pieces you're putting into your garden. Because just like Summer Pavilion,
if you have to have that many.
Right.
So if you have one that had 6 icons on it,
if I'm trying to lay down the bird,
you either needed 2 birds
or 2 yellows. So
this one you needed 6.
Yeah. 6 either light green. Yeah.
These needed to have 6 of the light purple or the same icon.
The jokers can be used as part of that 6.
Yep.
So jokers were very valuable. And the only way to get them, you start with 3, but then after that, the only way to get them is to surround your icons out here.
And this one you didn't have to place in the same area as the other one.
No, you could actually, matter of fact, the only way to place next to something was to be able to string it.
Yeah.
You either had to string, and this was where it kind of reminded me of Quirkle, 6 of one color, all different shapes, or 6 of one shape, all different colors. Love the game.
So yeah,
it is. I don't know.
This is my favorite one now.
I'm torn between this and Summer Pavilion at this point. I really am.
Yeah, it would basically go for me. It'd be this one, then Summer Pavilion, then Stained Glass, and you can get rid of the original one. The original one can accidentally disappear, and I would not be upset.
Whatever. So, but all of these are staying in the collection, even though I will be hard pressed to play Azul, except on game nights with other people. But all right.
That is the other collection. Yep.
All right. Next.
So we're gonna move on.
That was the last of the sets.
This is Architects of the West Kingdom. I am not gonna. This has an expansion in it. That's the reason why it doesn't close all the way.
It has an expansion and it has an insert in it that causes box lift.
Does it?
Yeah, it has an
insert. Oh, that's right, because it's so big and it didn't want to fit the board.
Nope. So, Architects of the West Kingdom.
This was actually our first Jim Phillips game.
Yes.
You start off with all of your workers. You don't have to go someplace. Oh, I'm going to go here and spend this so I can get some more workers. This one you already started with them. Yep. You can arrest other people's workers and hold them captive.
This is, I have to admit, this is not one of my favorite games. I will play it.
I like it.
It's not one of my favorites. I like some of his other games much better, but it will stay in the collection just simply because I
like it.
You like it. So there you go.
Azul, the first Azul has to say this is staying.
That's fine. It's all good. So, but no, not one of my favorites. I think we've only ever played it 2-player though. I would be curious to play this with a higher player count.
I thought maybe we played this with Justin. Maybe not.
We have never played this with more than just the 2 of us.
Okay.
So I'd be curious to play with more people to see what the
it only goes up to 4, so
it's 5.
Is it 5?
Yeah. So anyway, Architects of the West Kingdom.
Okay, this next game, boy, this is Astro Boy. I have
this is the only kids game in the list today. So.
I've not even heard of this IP.
No, I've not either.
Never heard of this IP.
I mean, this was.
I don't know if this was, well, it says 2004.
The way this one is, there's 4 dials on here and the dials turn. You're literally spinning them. Was it rolling a dice? I don't even remember. Did you roll dice on this guy? Regardless, you're moving your little stand around to do certain things.
Yeah, you roll dice to see how far you move.
Yeah.
I don't see the dice on there.
I don't either. But the whole goal of the game is you're collecting these tokens, and when you get all the tokens you need, you win the game. I think you have to have one of each color. This one's going.
Yeah, this one the board was the
discs are so thin that they're warped.
They warped, yeah, they're real thin. It's really poor quality.
Yeah, but it's very poor quality. In the interest of narrowing down the collection, the kids portion of that collection down to 20 items. This one just didn't make the cut. So all right.
Next, this is Ave Roma. Hold on, this is where it's going to fall. Well, no, this is all crated up. This one stays in the collection. This is a card game. We like card games. This is a very unique card game because it has a round board, and Katie came up with a great idea on it. She bought a huge Lazy Susan this board, and the board just barely hangs
over by like a quarter inch on each side.
But there's so much. She'll show you.
Oh yeah, here's a
look at the pictures here, but I'll show you this side right now. The board's round. And to be able to see the cards, you've got to get up and look. Well, she came up with a great idea, put it on the Lazy Susan, and we could just spin the board to see what the cards were. So we didn't have to get up and move.
Yeah.
Now, the player board, the way it's originally made is that the player boards were supposed to butt up right against the board all the way around.
Whatever. It's small concession.
Deal. Yep.
So I really like it. It really changed the play of the game.
Yeah, this is a game that has getting resources so you can buy buildings, buy soldiers to go up in tracks. And it's basically going up the tracks on the middle where the cards are at to get a lot of points.
Well, yeah, great game. Fun. It's definitely staying in the collection. We enjoy it.
Next, sadly, this one's going. No.
It is I think it's staying in the other room.
Well, this is Asgard by Watch Your Game. Who designed this game?
This one's staying in the other room.
Pierluca Zizi. This is
okay. Yeah, this one it's based on the Asgardian legends. You've got all the different gods that you are trying to impress. You are collecting stones from those gods in order to build temples to impress them more, so that so you can support the gods in the final battle at Asgard. We've played this 2-player and 3-player now.
And we probably played it about 5
or 6 times now. It's not one. I think the first couple plays I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And it was much better at 3-player to me. It was not the kind of game that it's going to ever come off our shelf again. So we moved it over to the other collection because I think for anybody who is familiar with the Asgardian history, this might be or not history, but the Asgardian lore. This would be an interesting game to play at least once, and that is the perfect collection to put this into. It's something that's only going to get played once or twice by any group. So we're going to hold on to it. It will stay in that collection for a while, but
and if this is the first time you've seen one of these videos, the other collection is our travel collection.
Oh yeah, I guess
we take it to different events, and we have games for people to play.
Yeah. So, and we're trying to get that collection down to, well, a lot less than it is now. So that is Asgard.
The next one is automobiles. This has a big story behind it.
This is so embarrassing.
So we were in a game store on our last road trip acquisition. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. We actually took everybody on the road trip. We were in a game store somewhere between Phoenix and Indianapolis. So we're thinking it was probably Oklahoma someplace, one of the game stores in Oklahoma. We walked in the store. We were looking around for games we wanted to buy.
It was a huge store.
And me and Katie pretty much seen it. Both of us seen it at the same time, maybe. I'm not sure. But we've seen automobiles. We're like, oh my God, we're missing that game to the trilogy because we have planes, we have trains, and now we have automobiles. So we have the movie. Anyway,
whatever. Anyway, so we're walking back out to the car to film that piece of the road trip acquisition video. And we're walking out, and I'm looking at my receipt for some reason right before I stuffed it back in my wallet, and I noticed automobiles, EXP.
We literally bought the expansion.
I almost walked back into the store to get a refund, but I could not bring myself to do it. So later that night, we got to the hotel. We got onto BGG and started looking for anybody that was selling automobiles. And sure enough, we did find
and a nice man in New York City or New York.
So we bought it from him, and now we have automobiles.
So this is, I feel it's a lighter version of Thunder Alley, which is a GMT game.
I really enjoyed this one.
This is a bag builder because basically you have these cards that are lined up along the outside of the board that does different things with a price tag on it, and you're making money. How do you make money?
I don't remember how you make money.
You got
because some of the cubes that you're buying, you can either use for their ability or you can
buy
use for
the different cards in the cubes.
There's a number of different colors. You have 10 cards out altogether, some of the same color, but a lot of variability in this game though, because you only have typically one of each color of your specialty colors out. Each cube
did something
different
to the cards on the track.
So you could use them for different things on the track itself. You could buy cubes that allowed you to move on the track. There were different color grays and blacks that allowed you movement on the track, and then there were specialties: the red, the yellow, the blue, and the green that did something specific. You're putting those cubes into your bag, and then you pull out so many depending on I don't even remember how. I think it was 5 or 6, or it varied throughout the game. And then your movement ones you put out on the board to move your car with. The others you could either do the special power on the card, or you could use as money. If you did, if you could not use the cube for whatever its power was for that turn, you could use it as money to buy more cubes.
And then you had to end up paying for depending on what groove you ended up, if it was a white groove.
You paid so much in basically it was the stuff that clogs down your hand in any kind of deck builder or bag builder.
You got black.
They're brown
cubes.
I don't remember what they called them, but they were brown cubes. Essentially they were
pit cubes or something like that.
So I really liked it. I'm glad we picked it up, even if
which is amazing because she does not like auto racing.
I found a couple. I really enjoyed
you don't like auto racing.
I don't write auto racing.
Actual auto racing, and auto racing to me is the best sport out there. I love anything else.
They don't attract my attention, but I will certainly sit down.
She doesn't like cars going around in a circle, and I keep telling her they don't just go around in a circle. They go on road courses. They go around road courses and multiple turns. But anyway, this last game is another reason why we were so late in getting this out, because it was promised it was there. You called. No, we didn't have enough to fulfill. Then she called another place. Yes, it's supposed to be on this day, which would have been my birthday. It's like, cool, we got to play the game on my birthday. No, it wasn't there. And it was another day. So
it finally came in last Wednesday. We got a play in of it. Actually, we got half of it.
And that is Ark Nova.
Okay. So we are not usually one to fall into hype.
No.
But this one deserves all the hype it's getting. And we've only played half a game of it.
Yes, this one had me pretty frustrated in the beginning of the game because the cards I had at some point of that first part of that game, I couldn't do anything with those cards. Absolutely nothing. So it was like I was taking more cards, clogging up my hand, because after a certain amount of moves, or once the coffee break comes, you got to get rid of all your cards except for 3, and you're like, crap, I need these cards. I wanted those cards to get this card out. So I can't get these cards out because I don't have this.
I was watching a video the other day of somebody kind of watching some of the playthroughs on this, and they described it as everybody has their, how did she word it? It's like slumps. Inevitably, it doesn't all happen to the same person. It doesn't happen to everybody all at once, but throughout the game, everybody has that.
My game
where
started
there's just nothing you can do.
And my slump was at the beginning of the game. But as the game went on, I started coming out. I was starting to get things out, but I didn't have the cash engine that you had going.
No, I had a pretty good cash.
She was like, "Oh, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and that's going to get me about $7,000 freaking dollars." And I'm sitting here with one coin. And it's what it felt like. She was like, I would look over, she'd have a pile of money. I'm like, well, how are you doing this? Well, I get this and get this. She was getting money for cards that I was putting out. And I'm like, going, I haven't seen a card like that yet. And she's got 3 of them. She gets money for when I put a certain card out. That was like, what was it? It was the red icon one, the Predators.
Every time you put
and then she got a card if I put a research card out.
Yep.
And those were the cards I was playing because that was playing into my secret goals. And
so for the half game we played, I didn't have a slump.
No, she didn't.
I'm sure I will.
She had all the money, and I had very little money, and could hardly put in. She was putting out at least 2 cards every turn. I was lucky if I got a card out every round. This
one is unique in the fact that, and I know the mechanism has been used before, though I honestly can't tell you what it is.
Everybody compares this to Terraforming Mars.
Yes, a lot of people have said it's a Terraforming Mars killer. I don't see that. I don't. I love Terraforming Mars, always have. I'll still play them both, but whatever. But no, this one is different in the fact that your actions, there's 5 action cards, and everybody has the same 5 action cards. Throughout the game, you have the potential to upgrade 4 of those to stronger actions.
Yes.
But everybody starts out with the same 5. But what's different is the complexity or the power, the strength that each card has.
Mm-hmm.
And that is based on where it is in the line. So you have 1 through 5, but as you use one of them, that card goes back to power of 1,
weaker,
and everything else gets bumped up.
Mm-hmm.
So certain things, as I said, each one of your action cards get a little stronger as you get closer to that 5. So there's a lot of strategy involved in a lot of decisions to make. Do I wait till I get my animal one up to the 5 so I can lay 2 cards out at once? Or but I really need this pavilion. I need an enclosure out first. So should I put an enclosure out? But I need that enclosure to be a 5. And then there's basically wild resources you can use, wild X's you can use to make your cards more powerful. There's just so much going on in this, but I tell you, man, I really liked it.
I liked the scoring. Because you could end up at the end of the game, you could have negative points in this case. Because the game ends when somebody passes their other piece.
There's 3 things that you're tracking. You're tracking your conservation track. You're tracking your, what do they call it? It's basically how enticing your zoo is. How
reputation?
Reputation's the one, is the little graduation cap.
Mm-hmm. That's the one above track. The cards.
And then the bottom one is basically how enticing I can't remember what they call it. It's how enticing your park is.
We've only played half a game.
But I've watched like 4 videos, so I should know this.
Yes,
so
you
should. The game ends when the first person's conservation track passes their excitement track, whatever it's called. So when those 2 tracks cross, the game is over, and your score is literally the difference between the 2 numbers. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody else after that gets 1 more turn. The person whose piece is crossed does not.
Right.
So
and the person who wins is the one who's crossed over the farthest.
Yeah.
So you could get the game could be over, and you could be 20 points away from being able to cross. Look, you're at negative 20.
Yeah. So very, very interesting game. I really like it. So, but that is Ark Nova. And since it was an A and we knew it was coming, we wanted to include it into this last video.
Yep.
So that is all of our A's. Yay.
5 videos later.
Now we're going into the B's, and it's probably going to be another 5 videos, but I'm excited to get started on the next letter.
Yep.
So that is it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed that. Please tell us what you like of all of these games. What maybe some of them that we're keeping we shouldn't have.
But I'm sure there's a few.
This one is staying.
Yes.
For sure.
Until
next time,
then, we'll see you in the B's.
Right.